Hi, my friends. This is Jude, and I'm back here today with a very special guest, Ellie from Miraculous Revival. Hi, Ellie. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Jude?
I'm good. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to link below the original video that Ellie and I did, the Get to Know video, which was a great opportunity to see all the wonderful items in Ellie's business. She owns this business that really resurrects vintage miraculous medals and other Catholic sacramentals. So I want you to take a look at that because she really shows us, and I have mine on today, my beautiful miraculous medal that is from Ellie's shop. Just gorgeous. I love it so much. And we talk about this in that original video. So wonderful. So Ellie, just to open it up for our viewers, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm Ellie. I work with two others, my mom and our best friend, Michelle, as a part of this ministry, Miraculous Revival, which started in fall of 2019. And then I helped to kind of bring it onto social media in 2020, right, as everything was shutting down. And it's kind of turned into a ministry, and it has really been, I've kind of grown with the ministry. When I started, I was not a practicing Catholic. I was doing it to help out my mom and thought I might be able to do some techie stuff to help her. And it ended up being a ministry that really, really took my own heart and my own soul and did a miraculous revival on me.
So the Holy Spirit was really at work in your heart, and through this endeavor that you all collabed on, and you decided to kind of take over the media side of the business, and you're doing a great job. As I was mentioning before we went on, that I want everybody to go on miraculousrevival.com and also your Instagram page, because you really show the items that you have. They go very quickly, but because they're so beautiful and they're so unique, but it's a great way to engage. And Ellie does such a great job of putting out reels that really touch you in all different ways. So she's very creative that way. And so that's wonderful. So I love to be able to bring on people. And the minute I had heard, because you had mentioned it when we talked the first time, that you had a conversion story. So I said, Ellie, do you mind coming back and telling us your conversion story?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to give you the short version, because as you know, every story, I could be here talking for 31 years and not get through all of it. Yeah, I was baptized as a baby Orthodox in the Orthodox Church, and grew up that way. My parents kind of did all the right things. So my dad is Orthodox, my mom is Catholic. And as I got older, you know, like most adolescents, started to really question my faith and start to push boundaries and test limits. But I had been bullied a lot as a kid. I never fit in. And the reason I mention that is because, you know, when I got to college, it was the first chance I really had to kind of start over and start fresh and find friends. And, you know, I was starting to kind of grow into my appearance a bit more. And I thought, you know, I'm going to check out the party scene, and I'm also going to, you know, I'm sure there's other places where I can try to meet friends. Well, located between two fraternity houses at my university was a Newman Center. And that was for young Catholics at college who were looking to have a community, a parish. And so out of convenience more than anything else, I started going and met some really great people there, became part of their community, and actually RCIA. And I became Catholic. I was singing in the choir and going on conferences and retreats and everything. And then a couple nights before the Easter Vigil, I got a call from the director of the program, and she told me, you know, Ellie, we really appreciate and we see all your effort of you wanting to join. Oh, it's saying there we go, internet. But you're not going to be able to do it this year. It's going to have to wait until later. And, you know, coming from that background of being, you know, I was really looking for a place to fit in. I wasn't necessarily on a religious path. And coming from a background of bullying, it really hurt. It was a deep blow to me, that it's like, here I am, I did all these things to try to enter the Catholic Church. I became part of this community, and now you're telling me no. And it was one of the most embarrassing feelings, because at Easter Vigil, all my friends who wanted to become Catholic were becoming Catholic in their white garments. And I, at the last minute, got a bright red one, because I'm like, well, I don't fit in here. So I went crazy in college. I ended up partying a lot, drinking, drugs, the whole shebang. Completely left my faith. Until I got to graduate school, I went to a Catholic university for nursing school, and thought I'd try again, another fresh start. Let's try again. But it was a very progressive university, and they were talking about things and doing things that I knew were not good. I had a wild past. I have a wild past, but I know the difference between right and wrong. I was choosing wrong, and I was okay with that. I had no remorse for that at the time. But when you have a Catholic university who's marketed and claiming to be Catholic, but is advocating for abortion and teaching post-abortion care in the nursing school, and having transgender bathrooms on campus and pride walks on campus, it paints a very hypocritical picture of what the church is supposed to be. And at that point, I wanted nothing to do with the Catholic Church. I tried going a couple times to the cathedral. I would see people veiling, and I'd see the incense all on the same campus. And it really created this almost like a dissonance within me, where it's like, I'm not quite sure what to believe about this faith. You know, it's just a bunch of hypocrites dressing like they're at a monastery on Sunday and prancing around in their underwear on Wednesday. You know, it did not make sense to me.
Understandably, Ellie, because that would give anybody mixed signals. And, you know, you are coming from a place that you really, that yearning that you had in your heart, but seeing that you knew, like you said, you were raised to know right and wrong, and you could see that this wasn't, in fact, living out the virtues that Catholic Church upholds.
And I didn't know what the virtues really were at that point. And this is where my hatred for the Catholic Church began, because I thought, here's a church that's rejecting me because of their rules, even though I want to become Catholic. Here's a church that is claiming to be devout and, you know, have all their proper ways, but look how they're behaving and look at the things that they're teaching. And so that was like really when I can say I had deep hatred for the Catholic Church, deep hatred. And at that point, I started just to spiral. I mean, my life eventually came together to a point where I felt like I didn't need God. I was married. I got a new job. We bought a home, and my life was great. You know, I didn't need God. I didn't need a set of rules or a religion to tell me that I was a good person. I thought I was a good person. You know, I got into New Age practices. I got into all kinds of horrible things. And looking back, I can see that God had been trying to wake me up. You know, I had a miscarriage. I almost lost my marriage. And throughout these times, instead of clinging to God, I just kept clinging to things of this world, drugs. You know, like I said, those New Age practices and different things, trying to fill that big God-shaped hole in my heart. And I didn't really know. I didn't know how to fix that wound. And the more I tried to fix it, the deeper the wound got. And I think that's why my passion with this ministry really is, yes, it's about the medals, but it has become more than that. It's become, I feel for people who are confused about the Catholic Church, who don't see the true beauty of the Catholic Church. I feel for people who are genuinely seeking goodness and who are genuinely seeking healing, but can't find it, because you're not going to find it anywhere other than God. So all that to circle back here, I'm sorry I get kind of.
No, I think this is such an important part of the conversation, because all of us can see, without naming names and going into specifics, that a lot of people are portrayed or portraying themselves as Catholics, but not upholding the teachings of the church. And I think it's very confusing for those who aren't Catholic and those that are, saying, well, wait a minute here. How can you believe this, which totally goes against the teachings of the church? Are we all in, or are we not? And so I think it's time for us as Catholics to say it like it is and call it like it is, because we don't want other people to be in your situation where they're seeing one way and they're saying, well, that's really hypocritical because you're not living the life that you are professing and preaching.
And it's dangerous. That's why scandal is such a dangerous sin. The shepherds really do need to be leading their sheep, especially, I was a lost sheep for a long time. And ultimately it took Mary to bring me back. My mom, when I had hit rock bottom, she gave me a miraculous medal. And that was the moment where the scales just started to peel off of my eyes. I mean, at that point I had been involved with a lot of very dark practices. I had been to Burning Man, which is in essence a Satan worshiping festival. I had come back with a lot of demons. And it ultimately took Mary, and I forgot, I left out like the hugest part. I'm sorry. I became Catholic in 2018, and it was because my mom had asked me to. It wasn't a desire of mine. It was not something I wanted to do. My first daughter was born, and she had asked me to baptize her. And she's like, well, while you're there, why don't you see if you can finish up your part of it and see if you can become Catholic? So I said, all right, whatever you want, Mom, I'll do for you. And so I did that. And I think that really did open up a lot of grace. And at that point, I really was not a good practicing Catholic at all. I was not living in a state of grace. I had never been for reconciliation. I had basically forgotten everything that I had done in RCIA back in college. I didn't have to redo all that. They took my paperwork, compiled it all. Miraculously, a couple months after I asked to become Catholic, they put me through that Easter vigil, knowing nothing, and never having been to reconciliation, nothing. And so while that was a grace, I missed out on a lot of opportunities to learn, to grow, to be formed, to be catechized properly after the decade that I had spent running away from the Catholic Church. So after that is when I did hit rock bottom, after I had already become Catholic, and my marriage was falling apart, and my mom gave me a miraculous medal and I put it on, and I never took it off. It was one of those things where I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I liked it, but I did. And
what was the feeling that you had when you put it on, Ellie? I'm just wanting the audience to understand. I mean, there's an emptiness when I don't have mine on, and it's hard to explain it. I mean, we know this is not a sort of, superstition. And I think a lot of people think, well, wearing these medals, you might be, looking at it like, oh, now nothing can harm me because I'm not. But it's not. It's reminding us that we are under Mary's mantle. It's a reminder.
It is. And I think with me, God gave me very special graces. I believe he gives everybody the graces that they personally need when he's calling them home. I have witnessed miracles from the miraculous medal. I've experienced miracles in my life due to the intercession of Mary. And I think that, I mean, look, I was the biggest skeptic. And so for something like this to change my life, like to truly deeply change my life, I know that there is power behind this medal. I know for a fact. And
for any parents out there feeling lost, thinking, oh, what didn't I do? Maybe my child is, like you said, in college and kind of wandering away in their young adult life, but our seeds that we planted, we have the seeds, and obviously your mom, that was one thing that she wanted, that gift of the Catholic faith for you, and she didn't give up. She didn't, she held strong, and I'm sure obviously she probably prayed to Our Lady to intercede. And so what a gift. God bless her for her persistence.
Yeah, truly. And I have nothing against the Orthodox Church at all. It wasn't for me. My dad is still Orthodox. My sister is Orthodox. But I believe truly that the prayers of both of my parents are what brought me out of that darkness. And I always like to remind parents too, just because you're not getting that answer to prayer immediately doesn't mean that God is not working on it. God allowed for me to hit rock bottom. He allowed for me to go to these festivals. He allowed for me to stray for a decade while my parents continued praying for me. Why? So I could come back with this testimony. Why? So I could come back with fervor. He didn't want me to be a lukewarm person, a lukewarm Catholic.
You're not. I mean, anybody who follows you and sees the beautiful messages that you're sending out there for others. But I think you also, as I have said on other interviews, when you walk that walk, you have a different sense of what people might be going through, because you were there yourself. You went in the other direction. You said, I didn't need God. I didn't need organized religion. So you can see in others that disdain or that confusion or that emptiness that happens because you lived it. But you can be a powerful witness. Your testimony is here today.
And I apologize. I should do a better job of summarizing that up. My brain's a little scattered. I can hear them running up and down the hallway. But honestly, though, I mean, I, if nothing else, I'm grateful. Well, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for the persistent prayers of my parents. I'm grateful just for the yeses that, for whatever reason, I said yes to things I didn't know. Like when I first started praying the rosary, the first day I prayed a rosary, I found out I was pregnant. I literally read it out of a book. I didn't know what the rosary was, but I told my mom I'd do it. I read it and received graces from it, received miracles. And I'm not saying that every single person that puts on a miraculous medal or wears a rosary is going to have these instant signal graces like I received. I don't take that lightly. I know that it's a huge blessing. I don't believe I'm any more blessed than any other person. I think that we all have to just keep our eyes open for what God is trying to teach us in those moments. And he'll give you those graces when you need them, and then he'll pull back. It's like those periods of consolation and desolation, like Ignatius writes about. If he shows us his power all the time, it's never going to be enough. We'll just keep wanting more and more. So that's why when he gives us these little graces of a miracle with a miraculous medal here, or a miracle with a rosary over here, or some kind of internal, grace that we receive, we have to keep our eyes open and look for these things. And that's something
beautiful, to be open to it, because a lot of times we miss the blessings in our everyday, ordinary life. We're just wired like that as human beings, to kind of, we're always reaching for something else. We we're always wanting more. And if we can just realize and take a step back, a deep breath, and say, okay, where's my sense of gratitude at this very moment, right here and now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the more we experience graces, the more graces we receive. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like, for so long, I had my head down. I didn't want to see it. I had so much hatred, so much darkness that I didn't want to see it. And then once you open your eyes, you can really start to see. And that is how my whole conversion story went. From the minute I put this on, it was just noticing grace after grace after grace after grace, doing a rosary here, going to adoration there, one thing after another, baby steps. And over the course of 2 years, I went from disbelieving mortal sinner to this. And trust me, I still am involved in very deep spiritual warfare on a daily level. Like, Satan is not happy about this at all. Not just like, oh, you converted and all of a sudden you're saved and happy for life. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
In each of our lives, as you're saying, we are constantly bombarded. It could be in little ways, it could be in big ways, but I think you're right. When you really took that big step, Satan's saying, wait a minute here. What happened? She was, practicing a lot of things that were worshiping him. And, so I wanted to ask you, and I know that, you probably answered a lot of this, but converting to Catholicism, obviously it changed your whole life because you were living, I guess you were existing, right? Could you say you were just existing before and your life was kind of going through the motions, but now you feel like you have a purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Purpose. You're on mission, right? You're on mission.
Yeah, and that really is the beautiful thing. I was always into very tangible things, which is why I got into New Age practices to begin with. But once you really learn about the Catholic Church and sacramentals and the Holy Spirit, that mission that he gives us, that direction that he gives us, we're given that and sealed with our confirmation. Like, these aren't just rituals that are done or performed because they're rules or because they are tradition. You're actually tangibly receiving the Holy Spirit and having him sealed within you. And realizing that, it's like, oh, there is something I'm supposed to be doing. And then that yes, and being open to it. If you're closed off to it, you're never going to know what it is. Even just that little yes.
That fiat. It's so fitting that we are doing this interview on the Feast of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. When we're talking about Mary and how important Mary is in our lives. I mean, Mary has been part and parcel of my life from I was a little girl. I was asked in 2nd grade to crown her. I didn't even know what I was doing. But, and I had my own journey where there were forks in the road, and, I certainly wasn't living out my faith life as I am today. But, because of God's love and Mary's intercession constantly in my life, we have a devotion to her, and an appreciation for how she's changed our life. I wanted to ask you, Ellie, as a young mom of small children, what tips do you have for young parents to foster the faith, to keep the faith going and alive in your children?
That's a really excellent question. I think their curiosity at this age and their imagination is this is a short window we have as parents, to really foster that imagination and to really do, when we pray, like when I pray with my kids, a lot of it is just conversation. I think and I know my parents did a wonderful job. I think with small kids, really building that relationship before you build on the rules. Like, focus on the relationship between your child and Jesus and your child and Mary, and really personify Jesus for them. And really, like I said, it's a short window. So, like, yes, my kids know my older one knows the Hail Mary. We do the rosary. We do all these things. And I explain to her why they're important. But more than anything, it's really teaching her who Jesus is and getting her to really feel that Holy Spirit in her, teaching her what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And just taking every opportunity, like if you're in the car, to, put on, instead of listening to the radio, maybe put on Bible stories for your kids and just bombard them with information.
Yes, that's beautiful, because it really is also, as a parent, letting them see how the faith is playing out in your life. That they may see you take out your rosary beads and watch you and catch you praying, and making the sign of the cross, and how important it is maybe just to run into church and say a prayer or light a candle. Those are images that I can remember, that my parents did and my grandmother did. Very vivid memories that stayed with me through my life. So, what message, Ellie, do you want the viewers out there to take away from our conversation today?
I'm sorry I didn't do a better job of really bringing my story across the finish line in a more articulate way. I guess I just get so passionate about nobody is beyond redemption. Nobody is beyond redemption. Not a person who goes to a saint worshiping festival, not somebody who hates the Catholic Church. Nobody is excluded. Nobody is disqualified. What I would say for anybody who is considering Catholicism is just, you don't have to be passionate about it to even start. I think, look, I became Catholic because my mom asked me to. And the rest of it comes. I think that if you just ask Mary and you give her your fiat, your yes, she will start to just open doors where they need to be open, and she'll close doors where they need to close. And I think we just need to be more comfortable with asking Mary for help. You can never ask Mary for too much help. She wants to help. She's a mom.
No, she is our mother. She is our mother. So just be open. Just be open. And most of us, there is a calling that we have, a yearning to fill, as you said, looking elsewhere, not finding it. There is that emptiness that only God, that hole that only God can fill. One more quick question. What would be your go-to devotion?
Interestingly enough, I would have to say the 54-day Rosary Novena. About to start one on our page, and I am blown away by the response of how many people. We have over 100 people joining. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Ellie, because I noticed that. Go to Miraculous Revival on Instagram. And Ellie has put this up that you will be starting this novena, and I think it's so beautiful. Any time is the perfect time for this prayer, this united prayer. So I am so glad that you're doing this. So needed.
It's never failed me. And I think having something specific to pray for 54 days, when you really do see the fruit of that prayer, and you couple that with either fasting or something else, and you really just cling to Mary and you focus on this prayer, the fruits of faith that come with this are just incredible. I'm really excited for anybody who's going to be joining. And so I've collected prayer requests from people who are going to be joining. And then every day up in the stories, I'll be putting, what day of the novena, whether it's day 1, joyful mysteries and petition, June 30th, just to keep people on track. We have a lot of first timers doing it, and everybody's like, I'm not going to be able to complete it. It's okay.
But you know what? That's even a better way to do it, because then no matter what, people can go on and tap into that and be able to follow along with you. And you said, add their prayer intentions. So I think that's beautiful. Look at how your journey has come, your faith journey. And I appreciate so much you taking time as a busy mom out of your schedule to come on and share this beautiful story. And I know it's going to continually inspire, and just leave that message of love and hope that God has for you, and that the church, the true church, offers. So thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Jude. I really appreciate you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Until next time, friends, peace and love.